Have you ever felt like you've lived a moment before? Like reality suddenly repeats itself, even though you know it's happening for the first time? What if I told you déjà vu isn't just a glitch in your brain, but a message, a warning, or maybe even a clue that your mind is far more powerful than you think? Today, I am going to show you the shocking truth about déjà vu, a truth most people never hear, because it challenges everything we think we know about memory, consciousness, and reality itself. You know that strange jolt in your chest when déjà vu hits? That cold wave that feels like time folding over itself for a split second. Most people ignore it. They shrug it off like it's nothing. But what if that moment is one of the rare times your brain is actually revealing something deeper? Something it usually hides from you. Déjà vu might be the closest we ever get to seeing how the mind truly works behind the scenes. Before we go deeper, let me ask you something. Why do you think déjà vu feels so emotional? Why does something so tiny feel so intense? Scientists love to say it's just a memory error. But be honest. Does it really feel like an error? Or does it feel like clarity? Like a truth slipping through the cracks of the world for a brief second, giving you a glimpse of something you were never supposed to notice. Think about the last time it happened to you. Maybe you walked into a room you'd never seen before, or heard someone say a sentence you've never heard, and suddenly your brain whispered, "You've been here," but you know you haven't. That feeling, that perfect overlap, is too precise to be random. It's too sharp, too familiar, too meaningful. And the real question is, why? Let's start with what most people never learn. Your brain is constantly predicting the future. Every second, it scans your surroundings, makes assumptions, builds mental models, and attempts to forecast what is coming next. It's the only way your mind can process the world fast enough. Not reacting to the present. You reacting to what your brain thinks the present is supposed to be. And déjà vu might be the moment when your prediction is so accurate, it feels like a memory. But here's the twist. If it were just a prediction, you wouldn't feel it emotionally. Predictions don't come with goosebumps. They don't stop your breath. They don't shake you. Déjà vu does. So what's the missing piece? Let's push further. Some neuroscientists suggest that déjà vu happens when your brain retrieves a memory without realizing it. A memory that looks similar, but not identical. But if that were the case, why does the experience feel precise instead of vague? Why does it feel like a perfect copy of the moment instead of a comparison? And if the memory is unconscious, how can you be so aware of its perfection? Here's where the story gets shocking. Recent research has revealed something we've ignored. People with high intuition, high sensitivity, or unusually fast pattern recognition experience déjà vu more often. In other words, the more your brain is able to detect patterns before you consciously notice them, the more you feel like you've seen the future. So déjà vu might not be a mistake. It might be a form of cognitive overachievement. But this still doesn't explain everything. It doesn't explain the moments when déjà vu reveals things that later come true. Yes, this happens more often than you think. People have reported déjà vu so vivid that they recognize future conversations, choices, events. Is it coincidence? Imagination? Or is the mind doing something far more mysterious? Let's talk about memory. Not the memory you consciously recall, the memory buried so deep that you don't even know it is there. Some researchers believe your brain stores fragments of every experience, even tiny pieces you were never aware of. The shape of a room you barely looked at, a sentence you overheard but didn't process, a face in the background of a crowd. Later in life, when you encounter something similar, your brain matches the patterns, and that match is what you feel as déjà vu. But that explanation still leaves a giant mystery unsolved. Why does déjà vu feel like a message? Why does it feel like a realization, a warning, or a reminder? Why do so many people feel like déjà vu means they on the right path? Why do others feel like it's a sign they should pay attention? Let's explore the idea most scientists refuse to touch. Not because it's impossible, but because it's uncomfortable. What if déjà vu is a moment of mental alignment, a moment when your conscious mind briefly syncs with your subconscious mind? That might sound abstract, but think about it. Most of your decisions come from your subconscious. Most of your reactions, fears, instincts, attractions, all from the deeper part of your brain that works in silence. What if déjà vu is the moment those two layers overlap perfectly? A moment where the hidden part of your mind reveals itself. Suddenly the emotion makes sense. Suddenly the intensity makes sense. It feels powerful because your mind is momentarily unified. It feels familiar because your subconscious has already processed the moment long before your conscious mind catches up. It feels shocking because it exposes the truth. Your brain knew more than you did, but that's still not the full story. Let's go even deeper. Some theories suggest déjà vu is a sign of a processing delay between the left and right hemispheres of the brain. In simple terms, one part of your mind experiences something milliseconds earlier than the other. So when the second half catches up, it feels like a repeat. But if that were true, why doesn't déjà vu happen constantly? Why only rare specific moments? Why only when something feels strangely symbolic or meaningful? This brings us to one of the most fascinating theories, the parallel processing hypothesis. The idea that your brain runs multiple versions of reality at once. Think of it like tabs on a computer. Your mind explores dozens of possibilities before choosing one. When one of those mental simulations matches the real world perfectly, you feel déjà vu because your brain already lived that moment in a simulated scenario. In other words, déjà vu could be proof that your brain runs predictive simulations so accurate they sometimes match reality exactly. And when that happens, you feel they overlap. It's not mystical. It's cognitive precision at an extraordinary level. But wait. This theory leads to an even more shocking possibility. What if déjà vu is the moment you notice yourself choosing the right path? What if it is the moment the future you've imagined and the future you relive in align perfectly? Think about that. Déjà vu could be a signal from your brain that you're moving in the direction it predicted, or even the direction it prefers. This is why so many people feel déjà vu during major life decisions. Moving to a new city, meeting someone important, starting a new job, facing a turning point. It happens when the stakes are high because your brain is paying attention. It has simulated these situations before. And when the moment finally arrives, it recognizes them instantly. But let's go further. Why does déjà vu feel almost spiritual? Why does it make people question reality? Why does it make some feel like they've lived multiple lives? Whether or not you believe in reincarnation, past lives, or spiritual memory, there's one undeniable truth. Déjà vu makes people feel connected to something bigger than themselves. It forces you to question the line between memory and intuition, between prediction and destiny, between randomness and meaning. Now let's talk about something most people never admit. Déjà vu can be terrifying because it makes you realize your brain is doing things you don't understand. It reminds you that your consciousness is just the tip of the iceberg. It reveals the truth that most of your life is guided by forces inside you that you never see. A deep doom that scares us because it exposes the illusion of control. But here's the empowering part. What if Déjà vu isn't a loss of control, but a moment of clarity? A moment where your mind is giving you a signal. A moment that says, pay attention. This matters. This moment is connected to something important. Think of déjà vu like your brain's high alert system, a flash that tells you the moment you're experiencing carries weight. Why else would your mind highlight it? Why else would it mark it as familiar? Let's introduce a concept that ties everything together. Neural resonance. Your brain isn't just a storage box. It's an electrical network, a system of frequencies. Every thought, every memory, every emotion, all electrical patterns. Sometimes, the pattern of a new experience resonates perfectly with a stored pattern in your subconscious. And when the resonance is perfect, you feel it. You feel it as déjà vu. But here's where things get even more fascinating. Studies show that people who meditate, journal, or spend time in introspection experience more déjà vu. Why? Because they access their subconscious more often. They quiet the noise. They listen. They notice the patterns. They connect the dots. Their brain becomes more synchronized. And déjà vu becomes more frequent. So déjà vu might be a sign that you're deeply connected with yourself. A sign your intuition is sharpening. A sign your inner world is aligned with your outer world. A sign you're becoming more aware of the patterns around you. But let me tell you a story. Imagine you're walking into a coffee shop you've never visited. The smell of roasted beans hits you. The sound of grinding machines hums in the background. Your eyes scan the room. A brown wooden counter. A potted plant in the corner. A barista with a green apron. Suddenly, it hits you. Your heart jumps. You whisper, I've been here before. But you haven't. At least, not physically. So, how do you explain that perfect familiarity? Now imagine this. Months earlier, your brain stored dozens of tiny fragments. A different cafe, a different plant, a different apron, a different smell. All separate, all forgotten. But today, in this specific moment, the pattern matches perfectly. Every tiny detail resonates with those forgotten fragments. And your brain retrieves the memory as one unified experience. That is, does it? But even that explanation doesn't cover everything. What about the déjà vu that feels like a direct premonition? The moments where you know what someone is about to say before they say it. The moments where you know what will happen next. And you're right, that can't be explained by memory, that can't be explained by resonance. Here's the truth. Your brain is a prediction machine. A machine so powerful it can sense emotional patterns, behavioral patterns, environmental patterns, and piece them together faster than you consciously can. So when you predict a future moment unconsciously and then live it consciously, it feels like déjà vu. But it's not magic. It's cognitive speed. This means something incredible. Déjà vu might be the moment you realize your subconscious is smarter than your conscious mind. The moment you feel the intelligence that works beneath the surface of your thoughts. The moment you touch the deeper part of yourself. The part that never stops watching, learning, calculating. But now let's flip the script. Let's talk about the possibility we can't ignore, the possibility that déjà vu isn't just internal. Some physicists suggest that time isn't linear. It loops, it folds, it overlaps. If that is true, déjà vu could be the moment your brain senses a time loop, a moment that has happened before in another timeline, or in another version of your life, or in a parallel universe running side by side with this one. Sound crazy, maybe, but think about it. Why does déjà vu feel like perfect repetition? Why does it feel like you're remembering something real, not something imagined? Maybe consciousness doesn't just exist in one timeline. Maybe the mind can sense connections across alternate versions of reality. And maybe déjà vu is the tiny crack where those realities touch. Even if you don't believe in parallel universes, déjà vu challenges one undeniable assumption: that reality is stable. Déjà vu makes you question everything. Your memories, your mind, your timeline, your existence. And that's the point. It forces you to look deeper, to break the illusion, to see that your mind is far more powerful and mysterious than you ever imagined. So what is the shocking truth about déjà vu? Here it is. Déjà vu is not a glitch. It's a message that your brain is working at a level you barely understand. A message that your subconscious sees more than you do. A message that your memories, your instincts, your predictions, your intuition all work together in ways that blur the line between past and future. Déjà vu is the moment your mind whispers, "Pay attention. You've been here before in ways you don't remember." It's a moment of awareness, a moment of insight, a moment of connection, a moment where the world feels bigger, deeper, stranger, and more beautiful than usual. But here's the real question. What should you do when déjà vu happens? Don't ignore it. Notice it. Study it. Ask yourself why this specific moment matters. What is your brain trying to tell you? What patterns are aligning? What emotion is rising? What decision are you about to make? Because déjà vu isn't random. It happens when something inside you is paying attention. Use it. Let it sharpen your intuition. Let it guide you. Let it remind you that your mind is capable of extraordinary things. Things that go far beyond the limits of your conscious awareness. And if you're ready to explore more mysteries of the mind, if you're ready to understand how powerful your brain truly is, then stick with this channel, because we're just getting started.